Hello world, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Little Bit Different podcast with your host, Corey Sterling. That's me. I am recording this in sunny and windy Ceará, Brazil. I am in the midst of the kitesurfing season. This is now my fourth season kitesurfing. I think that I'd probably be a little bit better than how I am considering it's been 4 seasons, but I have dedicated, 3 or 4 months over the past 4 years to the sport of kitesurfing, and this is the first podcast I get to record while I'm in the midst of a kitesurfing season, which has prompted me to reflect on my experiences of kitesurfing and try to come up with some interesting and new insights and lessons that kitesurfing has taught me and that it continues to teach me. So the intention of this week's episode is to share a little bit about what kitesurfing is like, how I got into it, and then more importantly, 4 really key lessons that I've been able to take from kitesurfing and apply into my life to try to be the best version of myself while alive on planet Earth. My story with kitesurfing is I had no idea what it was. I wasn't interested in it. I didn't care about it. I've always loved sports with a ball, so I love basketball, I love football, I loved hockey has a puck, but I love ball hockey, and I love squash, I love tennis, and I was never really into the sort of alternative sports scenes. Growing up in Canada, I skied a little bit. I was never great. I snowboarded. I picked up snowboarding when I was 30, and I was never great. And I like cross-country skiing, but I've never been great. Like, these aren't things that really ever lit me up. And I was living in Brazil, in Caraíva, in a beach town, and I always saw these people doing this absolutely insane, crazy sport of hooking themselves up to a kite, putting their feet into a board, and then riding and ripping around the ocean, jumping. And it was something that I always saw, and I was like, okay, that looks absolutely crazy, and I have no idea how to do it, and it also looks really, really impossible. But it looks cool, and I never thought twice. And then my friend Guy and Igor were taking a trip they both live in Caraíva, and they're like, hey, we're going on a kite surfing trip in the northeast of Brazil. Do you want to come? And I was like, no. And then 2 days before, Guy was like, you coming on the trip? And I was like, okay. And I ended up coming on the trip, trying kite surfing, failing miserably, terribly, awfully miserably, being the worst ever, but then deciding to stay and continue to do it. When I think of the different decisions that I've made in the last 4 or 5 years of my life, if you think about your life and 1 or 2 pivotal decisions that you made that probably have shaped who you are more than anything else, and maybe have opened the most doors to you, or have brought you the most amount of joy, or have been the most beneficial in terms of an ROI. Maybe it's having a kid, maybe it's changing careers, maybe it's working online, maybe it's buying a house, whatever it is. For me, when I think about the past 4 years, the biggest decision that I made that changed my life was learning to kite surf. And the beginning was awful, and it was terrible, and everything that could have gone wrong went wrong many, many, many times. As a point of reference, the average amateur beginner in kite surfing usually takes 10 hours to get up on the board. And it took me 40 hours. So that's 4 times the normal person to learn how to get up on the board. Am I special? You bet I am. Oh yeah, I'm special. But that always, the slow start always served as an incentive for me to want to learn to be better, to want to be able to do it. And it's now been, half of the past 4 years of my life, a big focus has been on kite surfing, especially even as I get into launching my retreat and guiding other people through this same process as well. The reason why I'm doing it is because I really believe in kite surfing. I believe in it as an amazing tool for growth. I believe in it as an amazing way to connect with nature, to be healthy, to be strong, to be fit. There's so many benefits from kite surfing, and I've made so many friends over the last couple of years. I've taken so many trips. I've just cruised along the Brazilian coastline when on a kite surf and kite surfing, and every time I do it, I just think like, this is the coolest thing that I could possibly be doing, and it feels the best as well. I want to talk a little bit about 4 different lessons that I've learned and that kite surfing has taught me, and how it's made me into a better person and how I apply it into my life. The first lesson, which is a really, really good one, is that there is no one coming to save you. There's no one coming to save you. And I love this lesson, and I heard it the first time in a Seth Godin interview. And maybe it's in The Purple Cow, or I'm not sure, maybe it's in one of his marketing books. But it also could be on a YouTube clip of Seth Godin talking. If you go to YouTube and you put in Seth Godin, there's no one coming to save you. I think it's an amazing lesson that definitely that applies in kite surfing, but it's an important life lesson as well. And that is, at the end of the day, you're responsible for yourself. And if you get into a situation, you're the one who's responsible for getting out of the situation. In the Seth Godin context, it was something related to business where, I don't know, someone was complaining about something or something wasn't working. And basically, Seth Godin realized, like, there's no one coming to save me. Like, it's me. It's me and me. And if I think of any of my friends who are going through challenges right now in their lives, I think of recent conversations that I've had with some friends, I think for all of them, it's clear that there's no one coming to save you. And holy smokes, is that an empowering feeling, that there's no one coming to save me. And what I love about there's no one coming to save me in kitesurf is there are a lot of moments where it's actually impossible for anyone to come and save me because it's just me. And I'm in the middle of the ocean, and I'm in a place where maybe I'm a couple kilometers off the coast, and there's a mountain. So no one's driving, no one's coming. If, God forbid, something happens, it's up to me to resolve it, and it's up to me to fix that situation. And thank God I haven't had a really bad experience in those situations. But I will say firstly that it's highly energizing. Like there's a part of the track, I'm in a town called Ceará. Usually I go downwind to a nearby town called Guriú. Town is a very, very generous term. These are like small beaches with huts. And so maybe the trip to Guriú is 25 kilometers. So you get in the water, you go downwind, you're going 25 kilometers, you're cruising. Of the 25 kilometers, it's possible to have a car on the side of the beach driving alongside you for 15 of the 25 kilometers. The other 10 kilometers, it's impossible. There's a mountain, there's a big rock, so they have to go a different way via a sandy road, and then they come back and meet you near the end, and that's how it works. And I have to say that my favorite moment of that particular ride, and I do that most consistently, I probably do that 25 kilometer downwind 3 or 4 times a week. Sometimes I go longer, sometimes I'll go shorter, rarely I go shorter. But my favorite moment in that is like when I just see the car turning off to follow the road and I just keep going down the coast. And I look at what's happening, I'm flying, maybe I'm going 35 kilometers, 40 kilometers an hour. The sun is setting, it's the most insane, beautiful, incredible nature ever. I'm holding onto this bar, I look down at my harness, I see there's just like a chicken lute that's holding me in this raging wind with the beautiful orange colors of the sunset, and I'm just like, holy smokes, man. Holy smokes. There's no one coming to save you if something happens. And I can't really, I don't know why, it lights me up and it excites me the way that it does. Inspired. And I'm like, okay, cool, I'm in control, I've got this, I can do this. And in that way, kite surfing has really helped me grow up. Maybe it doesn't resonate or land, but I think when you're so consistently in a precarious situation and you have to navigate it yourself every time, you build a lot of self-confidence and trust that if you're in a difficult situation, that you'll be able to navigate it and that it's not anyone else's responsibility. And when it comes to health, when it comes to mindfulness, when it comes to business and being a manager, there's no one coming to save, for all areas of my life, there's no one coming to save me. No one's eating for me, no one's lifting weights for me, no one's running my business for me. I'm responsible for everything that's going on in my life. And that actually just excites me tremendously. And what I realized is the more that I've kited and the more that I've put myself in that situation, the more I've accepted responsibility over my life and other areas of my life. So in Kite, it's a bit of an extreme example where it's like, okay, like there actually is no one to save you, but when you're in that moment and you're present to the fact that there's no one coming to save you and you keep going, you realize, oh, I can actually do this and own this in any area of my life. The third lesson that Kite has taught me and continues to teach me and serves as an amazing mirror for is just simply the pure blessing of being in nature, being in pure, unadulterated nature. And why I love Kite so much, the social aspect is really cool. I've made a lot of friends. I had a girlfriend who I met through kiting, and we did all these kite trips and all of these really cool things, and you go to different countries and there's kite everywhere. But for me, at the end of the day, Kite is always about connecting with nature. And anytime that I have the opportunity to be out on the water, I'm a big sunset guy. Everyone knows this. I'm a big sunset guy, but when I have the opportunity to be out in the water on sunset, especially if it's a low tide, and I'm just like cruising along low tide with the sunset, I just connect with source energy in such an insane way, where I feel so connected to source and I feel so close to source. And I know that we all feel that. We feel that for some of us it's watching the sunrise, for some of us it's watching the moonrise, for some of us it's seeing a shooting star. Everyone has different ways where you put yourself in a situation where you observe the pure power of nature and you realize that we are just tiny specks of dust in the whole context of human history and planet Earth. But when I have an opportunity to kite, I really connect and feel that in such a strong and powerful way. And that just makes me a better person. And so to extract the essence of the point, it's that being in particular situations in nature, for me, are very inspiring, are very uplifting, and they bring a different level of gratitude than other things can. I think if you look at a scale of gratitude, right, I can say, oh, I'm really grateful for this, or I am cultivating a practice of gratitude, so I have a list on my phone of things I'm grateful for, or whatever it is. But there is an inexplicable connection that I feel with the universe when I am riding a kite on a board in the ocean, riding waves into the sunset, and I'm the only person, like when I'm the only person in the water and it's just me cruising 35 kilometers straight towards the sunset with no one around me, I just think, holy smokes, this is crazy. This is the best thing that I've ever done. Learning to do this was the best decision that I ever made. And probably every time that I kite, I think that at least once, where I'm like, I can't believe that I persevered and stuck with this to get to the point to be able to enjoy this as much as I can. And the sunset moments for me are really, truly special. And it's not about kiting, and it's not about fitness, and it's not about anything else. It's just connecting with nature on that level. In the same point, in the different kite trips that I've done, so, right, like 260 kilometers in 2 days, or 400 kilometers in 5 days. When you do that, you get to access and participate in so much untouched nature in places where there's no human involvement or activity. It's just completely pristine coastline, sand dunes, palm trees, jungle. It's like the things that I have seen in Brazil, kiting all the way up the coast of Brazil with the wind, have been some of the most special memories that I've had from anywhere in the world. And nature is the name of the game. I'm a big nature guy. That's why I prefer to live at the beach or live outside of cities. And there's just been something so incredible about interacting with nature. And I'm sure, look, if you talk to any surfer, whatever I'm talking about is not new. It's a different context of looking at it, but I'd imagine anyone who loves surfing, what they love is being in the water, being part of it, catching the wave, realizing that it's natural, how it's ongoing and never ending, and what it's like to look out on the water and see the coast and see this. And with kiting, it's just the same. And really, I'm so grateful to kiting for providing that consistent access to nature. And not only is it amazing that, and you can do this anywhere in the world with kite or with any activity that brings you close to nature. In British Columbia, I would go Nordic skiing at nighttime by myself on Cypress Mountain. And I would just be in the forest with snow falling on me, skiing, like whatever it is. But kite for me has put a real special twist on it, that any opportunity I have to be in the ocean by myself, 100%, like there's nothing mechanical going on, there's nothing robotic, there's no machine. It's just me harnessing the wind, cruising up on massive waves and cutting and jumping, but most importantly, connecting to the sunset in that way. It's spiritual every single time, and I'm always grateful for it, and I always appreciate it. And it's why I continue to choose to live in these places in the world so that I can continue to do this. The final lesson that I want to share as it relates to kite surfing and what it's taught me about life is the following sentence. If you are not falling, you are not trying hard enough. And I'll explain a little bit about what that means and how I figured it out. Essentially, if you think about any area of your life that you're trying to improve, you're always getting better. And you're never going to be done. So if you think about self-development or self-improvement in life or your health or your fitness or whatever, you're always trying to move in the direction of getting better. And as you get better, you're going to improve, but then you're going to set a new goal and have new standards. So my fitness standards now are very different than they were 2 years ago, because now I'm in much better shape than I was 2 years ago. And hopefully moving forward, it will be the same. If you think about your business revenue goals, as an example, 2 years ago, my business revenue goals were at a certain place. A year ago, they were in a certain place. Now they're in a certain place. A year from now, they're going to be higher than they are right now. I already know that because I'm always getting better. I'm always trying to push myself to operate the best, most efficient business as possible and grow it in a heart-leading and appropriate way. When it comes to kite surfing, what I learned is that it's very easy to get comfortable. And because it's so difficult at the start, when you start doing it, all you're doing is waiting and dreaming for the day that you can do it without falling or losing your board. And I remember very clearly the first time that I was able to kite without losing my board and how happy I was. And I remember the first time that I was able to go downwind without falling. Like I got in dry, I got out dry. I was like, holy smokes, I'm the coolest guy that ever lived. And then I realized but actually, okay, that's good, but am I really getting any better? All I'm learning is to not fall. I'm not necessarily getting better. And I think with kite surfing specifically, and when it comes to jumping, this is really where I have this mentality of if I'm not falling, I'm not trying hard enough. Because the way that it works with jumps is you learn how to jump, you go, and then you get really comfortable. This is like life. Ladies and gentlemen, here we are. You get really comfortable jumping at a certain level and being able to land jumps at a certain level. But if you want to become better, you have to jump higher. And learning to land when you're jumping higher is more difficult. And the ceiling is always being raised in terms of your ability to jump high and then safely land or land without falling. And I actually get more excited now when I'm kiting and I jump and I fall and I crash, because I'm like, okay, cool, I'm at a new height, I'm at a new level, and now I've got to figure out how to do this. And how can I land if I'm jumping, 6 meters or however high it is that I'm jumping? And I realized it when I would, sometimes it's awesome. Like yesterday, I did a really, really high jump. I was like, holy smokes, that is a new level. And then you think how did I do it? What was I, and then you overthink it and then you go again and you fail. And this is part of kite and part of life. But what I appreciate and love about life, and it's not for everyone of how they want to live, but it's for me how I want to live. I always want to be better. I always want to be more intelligent. I want to be more efficient. I want to be a better leader. I want to be a better lawyer. I want to be a better son. I want to be a better uncle. I'm always trying to be the best version of myself. And what kite has inspired and taught me is that it's okay to fall. And if you're falling, it means that you're putting yourself out of your comfort zone. And that my expectation for myself in self-development is not to be perfect. And if I was always perfect with everything that I did, it means that I'm probably doing things that are too easy for me. And that's okay. And sometimes you have difficult days when you're a manager or a leader or a lawyer or a friend. Sometimes you're in difficult situations that are challenging to navigate, but you learn to navigate through them. You fall and then you get back up. This is kite surf. Kite surf for me is falling, getting back up, and being better the next time. And that's why I'm so grateful to this amazing activity and sport and lifestyle, because that's what it has taught me, and that's what it continues to teach me on a daily basis. Like every day I go, I fall, I get back up, and I just think like, wow, cool, I'm at a different level. Like I'm pushing myself to be at a different level, and I'm very satisfied with that. And again, it's not for everyone, but I think that it's probably very common between people who take the sport up and who enjoy doing it. So I want to thank everyone for your time and listening to this episode. I talked a little bit about how I got into kite surfing, why I love it. I spoke about 4 different lessons that kite surfing has taught me. One is like the connection with nature and how insane it is. Number 2 is if you're not falling, you're not trying hard enough. Number 3 was the importance of going with better people. And number 4 was just resiliency and the ability to get back up and humility in the face of it all. So whatever you do, stay different. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you're interested about the retreat, feel free to send me a note. We have a couple spots left. I'm excited to share this amazing gift with so many people and teach them to run an epic online business at the same time. Whatever you do, stay different, have fun, be love, peace.